Hello and welcome. This is Story Impact, and I'm your host, Lisa Towles. So, this YouTube series is intended to showcase authors, their writing journey, and the unique perspectives and lived experience that drive the creation of their books. I started this series because of my undying love for stories and because it's my calling to lift up and support other writers. I'm also a crime novelist, and you can find my books on Amazon, and to learn more, go to lisatowles.com. All right, let's get started. Today, I'm so excited to welcome today's guest, noted crime novelist, PR strategist, and my social media friend, Lynn Lipinski. I'll tell you a little bit about her. A native of Tulsa, Liz has led a diverse and dynamic career before dedicating herself to writing. After graduating from Loyola Marymount University, she embarked on a career in public relations, specializing in California water issues and later internet governance with ICANN, a role that took her around the globe where she engaged with stakeholders all committed to maintaining an open and accessible internet. She later launched her own content business, increasing her focus on fiction writing and completing a master's in fine art and creative writing in 2018. Her debut novel, Bloodlines, spearheaded the popular Zane Clearwater mystery series, which includes Serpent Loop and Stalked by Revenge, with the latest edition, Cryptic Inheritance, published last month, which I'm reading right now. Love it. Her standalone book, God of the Internet, a techno thriller, was recognized on Kirkus Reviews and Indie Reader's Best of 2016 lists, and she's based in Burbank. Lynn, thank you so much for joining today, and warmest welcome.
Thanks for having me, Lisa. I'm excited to chat today.
All right, so before I ask you a few questions, I want to tell viewers about how we first met on social media. I was just kind of scrolling through, you know what we do on social media. We scroll through lots of things, and like 80% of things don't really capture our attention, and we just keep going. And like, you captured my attention because I saw this woman throwing books over the wall of something, and I was like, that's worth looking into right there. I don't know who she is or what she's doing, and so I clicked it and I watched it, and I thought, oh my God, this woman's hilarious. So it looked like you were throwing one of your books over the wall of like some fortress or something, and you made like a video series about that. And I thought that it was related to you wanting them to make a screenplay of your book. I don't know, can you say a couple words about that, because it was hilarious?
Oh, thanks, Lisa. I live right by Burbank. Burbank is home to Disney Studios, like where the animation studio is and where the movies get made. And anyway, one day my husband and I, we were just like having dinner, and I said, oh, I got an idea for a funny TikTok video. Let's go. I'm going to pretend to like throw my book over the Disney studio walls in the hopes they'll make it into a movie. And it was literally a throwaway video. Like, it was just something you're just like, oh honey, just shoot me doing this. And anyway, and I put it up, like I didn't even put it up right away. I put it up like a week later, and to my surprise, like I woke up one morning and it's like, you have 300,000 views, and it just went crazy. It went viral from there. I think it ultimately kind of landed about 2 million views on TikTok, another 2 million on Facebook and Instagram, and it is the thing I'm known for. But I do not have a screenplay, or I don't have a movie deal.
Well, not for lack of trying. And, you know, we're going to talk a little bit about how you're a PR strategist, and like being a writer, you can't be a writer in a vacuum. You have to be like, I mean, nowadays in 2023, you really have to be a writer who's savvy with digital marketing, with social media, with PR, and you're pulling all of that into your books and your book promotion. And I think that's awesome. So I'm so glad that I'm so glad that your husband made that video, because that's why I'm here. And I really enjoy your books and the other things that you bring into it. What brought you from Tulsa to Southern California, and how do you think your early life prepared you for your author's journey?
I always wanted to live in like a big city. I just, even as a kid, I mean, really, like really young, I would tell my parents I was going to live in New York, Chicago, or LA. I don't even know where I got that idea. So I basically, when I was looking at colleges, I was mainly looking at colleges in big cities, because like, this is my ticket out. This is how my parents will pay for me to go to these big cities. I'll have to go to college in one of them. So I wound up at Loyola Marymount, where I graduated, and I always loved writing. But I mean, without saying my age, but I came out when I graduated from college. We were in a recession, and California was in a recession. There weren't a lot of jobs, and so I kind of just went into PR because I was like, well, you need to make money, and I just went into PR, and that's just what I did. I kind of put fiction to the side, but I always loved fiction. I was always the kid in my mom's bookshelf, like reading VC Andrews and Harold Robbins way before I should have, and all her thriller novels. And like, I would have these things in the back of my head, like I'd always be creating narratives, like Lynn is walking to school with she approached the school with a feeling of anxiety. Like I'd have this like narrative voice in my head about my own life,
Oh, funny.
So that's kind of the start.
That's funny. All right, so I want to ask you about genre. When you were sort of called to write the first book in your Zane Clearwater series, how did you know that it was supposed to be a crime thriller? I mean, do you read a lot of crime thrillers, or why that genre in particular?
Well, I'm a huge mystery and thriller fan, probably because my mother was. Seriously, like that's just a lot of what I read, and I think I just I have a very natural understanding of those plots. But and so I always kind of, to me, I always thought, the most interesting book is with a dead body on the first page, right? Like that's my kind of book, and so and I always just sort of tended to do that. I did some things in that book that are not, I think we might talk about this, but that are not market specific. And I think that's why Bloodlines is always kind of a little weird book to classify, because it's a bit of a thriller. And I think some people are surprised by the ending. Some people are not, like they really see it coming, but it's definitely not like a puzzle mystery. It's, more of a thriller, I think.
I think from the books of yours that I've read, they seem more like thrillers. And I think thrillers are, I also write thrillers. I think they're supposed to have kind of a lot of different elements. And, honestly, like a lot of chaos in the beginning where readers are confused, saying, how are we going to pull all this together? And then you manage to do it in your books. You manage to have all paths kind of come to the same place. And I think that's the art and the science of it. I think it's noteworthy that you're a PR strategist, which is so critically needed when you're an author, and especially, whether you're independently published or working with a publisher. How do you use your expertise in marketing and PR for your writing career?
Oh, probably not as well as I should. Like, the cobbler's kids have no shoes kind of thing. But I think that that's an interesting question. I guess I mean, I kind of have a sense of like what should happen, but there'll still be a lot of times where I actually pull other people in, because I don't think I'm very good at marketing my book. Sometimes I do have a kind of like a little team I pull in. Like I have someone who helps me write my blurbs. And I've had people who've helped me with the ads, like writing the ads. And, I still don't know that I nail my covers that well. And I just, it's interesting. It's very hard to market your own stuff. So it's always nice when someone says, oh, I see your videos, and I'm really glad, like those work. Those seem to work the best, for me, but I think I still rely on other people to kind of help me.
Mm-hmm. I do the same thing. I'm kind of a rare writer in that I actually love digital marketing. But like you said about you, I love marketing other people's books. When it comes to my own
Yeah.
books, I don't necessarily love that as much, and I don't have as much intrinsic knowledge about how to do that. I mean, so if I'm lifting someone else up, I look at the genre, I look at the audience, I look at the market, and it
Yeah.
just kind of magically happens. And with my own stuff, it just doesn't magically happen. So I too have a team of kind of outsourced people that help me with like different pieces too. All right, so let's talk about your day job, because you have a really exciting career, and it seems like you've always written alongside having a full-time day job. How do you juggle those? How do you juggle your day job, novel writing, and marketing? And can you just give us like a little thumbnail sketch of like what you do in your day job, just a day in the life?
Sure. So I've always like had a background in PR and just been different kinds of, I was in-house for a while, managing communications for water agencies, and then ICANN, which is this internet governance nonprofit that manages the domain name system. You know, I was always working on books while I had those jobs, but I really, when I went out on my own and started my own freelance business, that's really when I started publishing in writing in earnest, because I was always kind of working on things on the back burner. And like my first book, I worked on Bloodlines for 10 years while I was doing kind of my PR jobs. And um, it was really when I kind of said, okay, I'm going to go out on my own and do freelance and then also do the writing. That's really more when it took off. So I don't have good tips for the full-time job in the writing, because um, it's easier when you're your own boss, kind of working out of the house. And so, you know, now I still do I do PR for the Southern California Water Coalition. I still do PR or writing for ICANN, but it's kind of on my own schedule. And so I'll tend to write in the morning. I do my fiction writing in the morning when I'm writing, and then I'll do my work like in the afternoon, and then it spills into the evening, you know, because it's just kind of, I'm just in my house working all the time. So, you know, but typically I'll do fiction writing in the morning, go have a workout at noon. And then kind of the afternoon is like fill in, okay, what's due for my clients? What do I need to get done for my clients? And then that stretches into the evening.
No, that's great. I was going to ask you about kind of the operational aspects of like, you know, do you have a certain time of day for certain things? And it sounds
Yeah.
like you have it pretty segmented and you're really organized. That's really cool to hear. Let's shift to the publishing landscape. I mean, wow, there have been so many tectonic shifts especially over the past like 5 years or so. What do you see as a challenge in the publishing industry the way it is now? And then what do you see as an opportunity that you feel writers should be leveraging more? Any thoughts about that?
Yeah, this was an interesting question. I was spending some time thinking about this one before we hopped on this call. And I mean, I think what really came to mind first was just the dominance of Amazon as a platform, despite, you know, the Apple Books and Google Play trying to come into the market with audiobooks or ebooks. It's just like Amazon dominates. They dominate my sales. I've spent a lot of years, I spent my early years really trying to go wide and like really trying to use Ingram Sparks full distribution, and kind of I eventually just came back to Amazon, and basically my books are all on Kindle Unlimited now, because that's really where 98% of my sales always were anyway.
Mm,
And
okay.
the frustrating thing with Amazon is that the way it dictates terms, right? Like, I mean, if you're an indie author and you're publishing through Amazon and you are not selling a lot of copies, right? You're not in the big leagues, which I'm not in the big leagues. You just don't have any, like, all the terms are dictated to you. I can't set my prices on Audible. They do that. They don't let me do anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Mm-hmm.
you know, it's really hard to stand out on Amazon. I've never been able to make Amazon ads work for me. So that's always been frustrating. And then do you remember like, well, last summer, 2022, my biggest thing with Amazon was this, where they were allowing people to read ebooks and then return them for a full refund. And you could have read the ebook all the way through. And in
Mm-hmm.
fact, book talk people were on TikTok making videos about how this was possible. Don't want to
Yeah.
pay for the book.
Mm-hmm.
And it took what that took, and they changed it. Amazon changed that policy in February. So that's what gave me hope, was seeing indie authors band together with like Authors Guild to say, please help indie authors. And I remember just being so gratified when the really big name authors would make the TikTok videos and saying, hey, this isn't right, Amazon. You know, you're really not helping people, you know. And of course Amazon was allowing ebook returns from the big publishers. It was just indie authors that were being hurt. And so I did take hope seeing people join together, getting that policy changed. And I hope to see more of that and kind of us get a little better terms with Amazon and their policies.
No, that's an awesome answer and great points. And I do remember that. And I do also remember feeling like, wow, book talk as kind of like a slice of the TikTok platform. These are readers elevating the voice of authors saying, you know, and other authors making videos saying this is not okay, and people heard that voice, and policies change, and that's how change happens. You know, I mean, like we light our tiny candle in our small part of the world, and like there might be a lot of other people that feel the same way, and now suddenly you have a large flame that's going to get the attention of policymakers. So yeah, I think those are all very valid. Lynn, this series is all about impact, meaning, and purpose. So I want to ask you something about, you know, like looking at yourself and your writing path. What do you see as your purpose as a writer? And then what impact do you think your books have on your reading community?
Oh, those are great questions. I hope, have a smart answer, but I think like I think that if I think about like why I write and kind of the things I loved about reading stories is I like storytelling, but it's more than that. It's about talking to people about how people get through things, how they're empowered to take action, how people are resilient in the face of obstacles and peril. I mean, we write thriller. I mean, there's a lot at stake in our books, right? People are dying.
Mm,
Not all of us have, most of us don't have that in our own life, but we still face obstacles. And I really want to kind of illuminate the strength of the human spirit,
mm,
especially when you're facing adversity of any kind, whether it's like someone coming at you with a gun, like they are in our books, or it's just, somebody at work who is gossiping about you or something. Like how do you face that? And one of the things about Bloodlines and the Zane Clearwater series, that because I was thinking about the idea of writing the market. And so Zane's poor. He lives in a mobile home park called the Majestic Trailer Park.
mhm.
They don't have any money. People look down on him and underestimate him all the time. He had a drinking problem at a very young age. And people just underestimate him. And I always wanted to write somebody like that who just sort of keeps trying. They just keep persisting. They're like, I'm going to make a better life. And I don't care if
Mhm.
you're making fun of me for striving, or you're making fun of me that I don't have the right clothes or whatever. Um, I, I like doing that kind of story because there's also the mysteries and thrillers that I really enjoy where people are rich and they have the superpowers that money give you, right, to solve crime. And I really enjoy reading those. Those are very great for escape. But I guess I really want to do something different and give a narrative that kind of uplifts, and it comes from a place of that I don't know. I didn't see a lot of books come set in Oklahoma trailer parks, basically, or mobile home parks.
Well, I think, you know, like we're talking about meaning, and, you know, like when you talk about like the universality of poverty, and, you know, the experience of not having enough but still wanting to, you know, seeing that kind of future vision of yourself of who you could be, that is so meaningful to me, and that's so universal. I mean, like even if someone is a billionaire, they probably weren't always a billionaire. There was a path to how they got there, and so I think that makes your books kind of universal. But you also mentioned the word escape. I mean, like when I think of myself, so I too have always read mysteries and thrillers. And by the time I was 15, I think I'd read everything Agatha Christie ever wrote. And I too read inappropriate books when I was too young to do so, because those were the books that I wanted to read. The books that like my mother squirreled away in a closet, you know, I was gonna find them one way or another. You know, I mean, it might have been like it might have been books that were beyond my 8 or 10 years, and I might not have known what they were about, but it created those questions. And I think thrillers are really all about questions. I mean, so you were talking about escape, and I think when I read, I'm looking for escape. You know, I want to escape from my own problems into somebody else's. But if the author that I'm reading can find a way, like you, to make that escape relevant and related somehow to problems that I'm personally having, then you have the you have the escape element, but you also have something that makes it meaningful for you. So yeah, great answer. Thank you for that. Um, all right. So finally, I wanted to ask what book you would like to promote to our watchers today. And I see a stack of books behind you on your bookcase. Is
Oh,
that Cryptic Inheritance?
I have one right here. My new novel, Cryptic Inheritance. Yeah, it's the fourth in the Zane Clay mystery series. You actually you don't really need to read the other ones to get the gist of the story, because particularly in this one, Zane becomes a private detective. He finally gets a job as a private detective in this. And so this is his first case as a professional private detective. And so it actually, talk about writing the market. This one is like seriously like a private detective. It's in the private detective formula. And so I had a lot of fun writing it. A lot of my other ones kind of bend that genre a little bit, but this one is really like, a woman comes in the door and has a case, and Zane takes it and solves it. And in this case, she comes in and she says her mother just died and left her a Bitcoin wallet worth millions of dollars, and she lost the password, so she needs Zane's help to find it.
I am so interested in cryptocurrency. I'm not saying I know a lot about it, but I love that hook in the beginning of the book, kind of like a secret, and like secret money somewhere, and how do you find it? And I also love the evolution of Zane. You talked about him in the first book in Bloodlines, and now you look at him in Cryptic Inheritance, and he's carving out a path for himself. He's he's kind of like putting out his shingle, and he's sort of defining what that future version of himself is going to be. And I can't wait to hear what happens. Okay, so again, this is Story Impact, a YouTube series intended to showcase authors like Lynn, their writing journey, and their unique perspectives. Lynn, where is a website where people can learn more about you, and where can they find your books?
Oh, well, my books are almost everywhere, but they're on Kindle Unlimited, and then you can buy print copies and the audiobooks almost anywhere, like Google Play, Barnes and Noble, all that. And my website is a great place to go. It's lynnlipinskibooks.com, and it has
Okay.
all the information on all 5 of my books.
All right, lynnlipinskibooks.com, and I will put that under the video on YouTube. Lynn, thank you so much for joining us today. I love learning more about you, and thank you for watching. Till next time.